you have been the champion in the Wall Street Journal and other publications of listing the people, their names. You know, you visited them. It's been in the news where they are actually saying, may I please have food and water, and they say no, and they kill them. Some people still aren't. And you notice the media didn't pick one of those fights to make it a big issue. They picked one like Terri, where it's kind of nebulous.
Yeah, and the case you're referring to is called Marjorie Nibert, Nighbert, which also happened in Florida, by the way. And Marjorie Nibert, and I write about this in the book Culture of Death. Marjorie Nibert had a stroke while she was in Alabama, and she was moved to Florida to go to a nursing home for rehabilitation because she had lost the ability to swallow. They put in a feeding tube because they were afraid that if she swallowed wrong, she could, aspirate. And so her brother, who had power of attorney, had been told by Marjorie, if I'm ever terminally ill, I don't want tubes. But Marjorie Nibert wasn't terminally ill. She was disabled. The only thing that would make her terminally ill was if she didn't get food and water. Still, he decided, well, I don't think she'd want this, so he took away her feeding tube. And as Marjorie lay dying of dehydration, the way Terri is now, she could talk. And she started begging the nurses for food. She would say, honey, can I have some food? Honey, can I have some water? And the nurses were so distraught, you can imagine, that they started sneaking her food and water. And when Marjorie didn't die on time, the nursing home administrators began to wonder what's going on. Eventually, a nursing home, became a whistleblower. A nurse became a whistleblower, and for a very short period of time, it got into the news. By the way, that nursing home person was fired for that. Then what happened was these Florida judges, I'm really beginning to wonder about. A judge got hold of this case and appointed an attorney for Marjorie, who was given 20 to look into the case and let him know whether she was competent. Well, she'd been dehydrated for a month. So the attorney went about the case, didn't have enough time to really investigate, came back and had to tell the judge, well, at this point, she's not competent. And the judge said she is not competent to change her advanced medical directive. She's going to die. And he ordered her to die by dehydration because he didn't think she was competent to ask for the medical treatment of food and water.
Now,
yeah, a feeding tube is considered a medical treatment just like a respirator. And,
most people I know who have...
Alex, a lot of people think there's a distinction between extraordinary treatment and ordinary treatment. There isn't. There's just treatment. And if you say, I don't want something, that can include food and water if you can't swallow.
Well, for those that don't know, Marjorie's not the only case of this.
What can I say? That is, we are, especially if the person in the nursing home doesn't have family who cares for them. It's possible. On the other hand, let us come to the defense of people like these nurses who are desperately trying to protect the lives of the people under their care. The people who are standing against this often are the ones in the trenches of the hospitals and the nursing homes, and some of them times they're willing to risk their jobs to save the lives of people. For example, the Robert Wendland case, which we've talked about, which in California, which is like the Schiavo case, only Robert could roll a wheelchair down a hospital corridor, and they were going to take away his feeding tube, and a nurse broke confidentiality to warn the mother that this was occurring, and that's what saved Robert's life.
Unbelievable. And, folks, they want to get rid of the old in this country, and they're pushing it. And the average person doesn't know how serious this is.
People do not see that they could be the next Terri Schiavo. It escapes me. It utterly escapes me. Because I fear, judging from my email and my correspondence with people all around the country and in foreign countries, that death by dehydration and starvation for the elderly and the disabled has become the de facto health care policy in the U.S. We've seen several specific examples since Terri died of people who were stuck in hospice and immediately food and fluids were withdrawn. And there was nothing wrong with them other than they were old. You know, it puts me in mind of what, I can't think of his name, a doctor who remarked at a medical conference back in the late 70s. He said, from a practical standpoint, withdrawal of food and hydration may be the only way to manage the baby boomers when they hit the nursing home.
According to a recently released poll by the Pew Research Center for the People and the Press, 3 in 10 people, 29%, now say they have a living will. That's more than double the 12% who said that they had put into writing in 1990 how they wish to be treated medically. And while there is a rise in the number of people who have living wills do not protect people. A living will is a signed witness declaration instructing a physician to withhold or withdraw medical treatment from its signer. It might surprise you to know that the living will was drafted and promoted by euthanasia and right to die groups as a way of leaving people vulnerable. If you are in a terminal condition and unable to make decisions about medical treatment, a living will gives rights and controls of decision-making authority to a physician who then has complete immunity from civil or criminal liability for action or inactions done in ending your life. A better option for really preserving your life and your right to choose is a durable power of attorney for health care decisions, or a document called the will to live. Either of these will protect you where the living will falls short and leaves you at risk. In the durable power of attorney, one can delegate to a trusted friend or family member the power to become your agent for any healthcare decisions you are unable to make for yourself. Also, as built-in protection, the PMDD limits your agent's authority to approve the direct and intentional ending of your life by lethal injection, intentional lethal drug overdose, or denial of food or fluids leading to starvation, dehydration. This limitation not only protects you, but it also protects your agents and family members from being subjected to pressure to authorize such actions or omissions. The will to live also safeguards your life when you cannot speak for yourself. It too names backup agents if your first choice can't serve. It describes the treatment you do or do not want, and also protects your family and healthcare agents from pressure by healthcare providers by allowing family and friends to prove exactly what you really did want. And best of all, it relieves agonizing end-of-life decisions by making your wishes perfectly clear.